Hey everyone, welcome back to TOPHER Drives, where this week I've been daily driving the 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLC 300. And this is great because we don't often get to spend time in these newer Mercedes-Benz models. So I finally got to live with one of these new Mercedes GLCs. And this is extra great because we drove the previous generation of this car, I think 3 years ago. It was either in 2020 or 2021. And I emerged from that experience thinking, well, for one, that car's dreadful, and also this platform deserves so much more. Mercedes deserves to be present in this super competitive segment of these luxury compact crossovers. And I'm happy to report for the 23 model year, they totally refreshed the GLC and it is so much better. So I'm excited to take you all out on the road today, show you what it's been like to live with this thing this week. I have really enjoyed it. Also because I spent the beginning of my week in one of the worst cars I've ever driven, the new Lincoln Corsair. So this was a nice breath of fresh air over that car, which is actually a direct competitor to this. It's the same price. Anyways, I won't go down that rabbit hole. We're here to talk about the GLC 300. Now, this does look pretty similar to the outgoing GLC, but in every single way, it's just a little bit better. They've brought it to the modern era. They've sharpened things up. It has the new corporate interior, and I really love what they've done with the front end as well. And I'll admit, when I saw the pictures of this car being released for the 23 model year, I was like, well, it looks exactly the same. But now that I've actually been able to study it in person, it's quite different, and it looks excellent, even in this silver color with these AMG wheels, which you don't need, but that's neither here nor there. So let's take a look at some of the essentials with this Mercedes GLC. Of course, with this being an SUV, you're going to want to know, how much room do I have in the back? Well, let's go ahead and take a look. Let's open up our power lift gate. Lovely. Where you can see we have a dealer accessory little carpet with Mercedes-Benz branding. But most importantly back here, we pop this up and we have a spare wheel. And that is a very uncommon thing to see nowadays. I always get excited when I lift these up and I see a spare. And our battery is there too, as well as a toolkit. But with all of that aside, you have quite a bit of room back here, and you have little power switches to fold your seats, which actually move the front seats when you do so. You can see them doing that now. And it's not a fully flat load surface, but it gets pretty close, and you have a ton of room back here to do whatever you need to do. I'm actually on my way right now to the Topher's son's second birthday party. So I've got my birthday gift back here right now. I'm not utilizing any cargo space for that, but I am utilizing a vintage 1997 Hot Wheels bag that I found in my basement. So that's kind of cool. Let's fold these seats back up. They do so pretty easily. They're a little bit heavy. Sometimes you can see that seat moving back to the position it was in. I tried to wedge the gift in there so we don't fling it around when we test out the handling, but we'll see how good of a job I actually did once we get on the road. This seat is extra heavy. I have to use two hands for this to get the proper leverage on it. You can see my driver's seat adjusting back to where it was. I appreciate that because a lot of the times when you put seats down in SUVs, they hit the seat, and it's nice to see that Mercedes has thought of that. They move the seat forward. You're able to get on with your business and not have to go and move the seat forward yourself and push the seat the rest of the way down. It's just such a hassle. So let's hop in the back and see what sort of room we have in the back of the GLC. Of course, if you are dailying this, you may be taking some people in the back as passengers. And here we are. I'm 5'11", sat behind myself. I've got plenty of room. That is partly due to the way that they've styled this seat. And we, of course, see this a lot with new cars, but the seat is almost cut out here in the middle to give maximum legroom in the back. You've also got this typical Mercedes folding down armrest, which does have cup holders. Cancel. I won't say your name anymore. I do apologize. Yes. Oh, and we're playing music now. Don't want to do that. Sometimes these cars just... Anyways. So this has the typical M-word middle thing, which does have cup holders. I know they're in there, and I see them. And somebody told me on my Mercedes S-Class video, or EQS, or whatever I drove, they told me how to operate it, and I've forgotten. Is it a double click? Half holding click?
How may I help you?
Oh, jeez. Cancel, please. Thank you so much. Hey, Mercedes.
How can I help?
How do I open the rear seat cup holders?
I'm sorry. Can you say that again, please?
No, cancel. I thought maybe she'd be able to help me with something, but
Please log in with your profile.
I'll just go back and
Waiting.
check. Okay. So
Sorry.
that's, yeah, it's okay. It really is. Anyways, let's talk about what's powering this GLC 300. It's nothing crazy, but up front we have a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with a 48-volt mild hybrid system. Combined power output is 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. Power is sent to all 4 wheels via a 9-speed automatic transmission. So pretty typical Mercedes stuff. Pretty much everything in this segment of Mercedes has this very similar powertrain. But the mild hybrid is really nice. It kind of smooths everything over and makes this car feel very high-end. I like mild hybrids for that reason. They make the cars feel more luxurious because they fill in all of the gaps. Let's pop the hood. We'll take a quick look at that 2-liter. Got a red hood pop there. As Mercedes does, they hide it so you can't see it. And if you watch the Winding Road video, you'll see me fumbling to find, there it is, the hood prop. So nothing crazy under here. It's actually a pretty small little powertrain. I mean, just a 2-liter, so plenty of room in here if they wanted to fit something larger. And I think they do, actually. I think they do an inline 6 AMG variant of this car, or they are going to. Nice. Okay. But that doesn't super matter with this car. I mean, a 2-liter 4-cylinder is a 2-liter 4-cylinder. What really matters is what it's like behind the wheel and how smooth and luxurious is this car. So let's hop in. We'll take a look at what's going on up front. And this is where the biggest changes happened, and it's where they needed to happen because the outgoing GLC was very, very behind, and they've finally brought this car to the modern Mercedes era. Let's fire it up. We'll get some AC going in here. Apologies for the little brisk noise we'll have for just a second. It's on auto. It'll cool down and then it'll quiet down. But it's beautiful. I love everything they've done with this interior, and this is very similar, if not identical, to the new Mercedes C-Class that we were driving earlier this year. And it's, again, it's exactly what this car needed. Everything works nicely. I understand that everything is essentially now in the infotainment, but what's nice about this is the climate control functions are all here and they all stay here. Our temperature controls are right here. Our fan speed controls are right here. Our AC button, our auto button, our defrost, our recirc, everything is still here on this panel. So I'm not super mad at them for that. It works well. And not to mention, everything on here reacts so quick. Mercedes has done such a good job with this new infotainment, and I'm going to try not to say the M word. That didn't trigger it that time, but I got to try and be careful. We also have quick access modes here. You have your notifications menu there, but on the Star tab, you can see that whoever had this car before me programmed some shortcuts to our ambient lighting, for one thing, which I really appreciate. And then we also have shortcuts to all of these other items. So that is nice too. And then we have our vehicle function menu. If you want to turn on manual shifting, put it in car wash mode, anything you need to do, that can all be achieved from right here. So plenty of usability with this new infotainment. I think it looks great, and they've just done a great job. This is my favorite vertical screen, I think, out of any car. It fits the dash nicely. Everything's within reach. It's very close. You don't have to lean forward to grab something. They've just done quite a nice job. Split folding armrest here in the middle. Additionally, we have this other cubby right here with 2 cup holders as well as a wireless charger for the phone. And it stays nice and tucked away. It doesn't rattle around or anything like that. The only thing I will say is that in this particular car, we have a ton of piano black right here. And I don't know if that shows up on camera, but it's super dusty. So you can kind of mix and match interior materials in here. I don't know for sure if this can be different, but I know you can have different woods and things on the dashboard. But I kind of like this dark wood with the silver pinstriping. And speaking of materials, let's see what we actually have on this car. So base price for a 23 GLC 300 4MATIC is $49,100. Our test car today as spec is $61,600. Honestly, in the grand scheme of things, considering where other cars in this segment are priced, this doesn't seem like a terrible price to me. But, I mean, I could do without things like the AMG line package and the night package. You don't really need either of those things, and that would save you almost $4,000 right there. An option I would tick, though, is the exclusive trim that we have on here, which gets you the surround view camera, which is excellent. The Burmester sound system, which is excellent. Enhanced ambient lighting, which is excellent. And navigation, which I guess you don't really need because you have Apple CarPlay. But every other option is good. I guess you don't really need the 20-inch AMG wheels either. But $61,000 for this car. I think you could have one of these spec'd out with everything you need for about 55 grand. So keep that in mind as we go for a drive today. And even though it is daytime, and I'm gonna drop this vent down. Maybe that's the lowest setting already. You can see this ambient lighting. Even though it's daytime, Mercedes always does the best job with this stuff, and it's no different here in the new GLC. So let's talk about the rest while we're on the road. Oh dear, I've triggered it again. Cancel. What am I gonna say, guys? MB? I don't even know. All right, let's configure this slightly different so you have a couple different things to look at. We can have a number of different things on the cluster. We can have all of these different items. Let's just put like our mileage on there. I'll run the nav on this screen and we'll set off. Super quick steering rack. You can go lock to lock in 2 turns. I always love to see that with these luxury cars. Steering is a big thing for me, and in a number of different ways. You have to have the nice lightness with a luxury car, and you have to have a quick rack, because if it's light steering, you're able to move it quickly and efficiently. And Mercedes usually does a pretty good job with this, and it feels great here in this GLC 300. From a daily driving perspective, this car has been just wonderful this week. It's super easy to hop in. The wireless CarPlay connects very quickly. And with this column shifter, you can just kind of get in, put the car in gear, and get it done. You're not fumbling with any sort of trick shifter or buttons or anything like that. I love a good column shifter, and this GLC 300. Mercedes in general, they do the best column shifters in my opinion. So it's nice to have that in here. Touch points in this car are mostly very nice. We talked a bit about this piano black not being great, but we have nice things like leather on top of our door panels. We have a leather wrapped dash, which is just beautiful. We've got some nice perforations in our leather on the steering wheel. But one thing I don't like, and this kind of goes across the entire bottom side of the Mercedes lineup, actually probably more like 80% of the lineup, is this airbag cover here in the middle of the steering wheel. For one, I'm not huge on the design of it. I think it's a little bit lazy, but also they don't leather wrap it. It's just like a rubber plastic material. And when you think about other cars in this segment, Audi Q5, BMW X3, they leather wrap the middle of their steering wheels, and it just kind of brings the whole cabin up that next level. And of course, these other companies have different shortcomings. You don't always get a leather wrapped dash and things like that, but I wish they would do something better with the middle of the steering wheel. If I'm paying $60,000 for a car, I want to have this leather wrapped. And that's one of my weird complaints. I know that this isn't going to matter to everyone, but for me, it does matter. So that's one thing that I would certainly switch here on the GLC. But otherwise, the seats are excellent. They don't fatigue you like some of the other cars do in this class, and that is where Mercedes comes out on top for me. Yes, I love a good BMW X3, and I really quite like some of the Audi SUVs as well, but if I had to get one to daily drive to live with on a day-to-day basis, it might end up being a Mercedes, because if you don't plan on doing much spirited driving, you're really just kind of going back and forth to work or wherever you may be going, Mercedes is just very nice for that. It's a very relaxed driving experience. But I think that's a good thing, because if you are someone that wants to feel a little bit sportier, you want to have some spirited driving on your commute, well then you'd go for the BMW X3, and that is also a very, very good car, so I would not blame you for doing so. But it's nice to have the option in the lineup to have something a little bit cozier, and Mercedes has you covered with the GLC, the new GLC anyways. The old GLC, I don't remember it being particularly comfortable. I remember the ride being quite harsh, and the ride in this car is nice, even with the 20-inch wheels. Another big perk here with the mild hybrid system is the integration of the auto start stop. Normally the first thing I do when I get into a car is I shut that off immediately, but I haven't done that on this car because mild hybrid systems make it less harsh. They make it very effortless, and in this car it's to the point where you don't even notice it happening. Especially considering that some of the dynamics in this GLC, they are a bit lazy, and that kind of comes with the more relaxed driving style that they've given you for this car. Sometimes it takes a second to kick down when you're trying to accelerate or merge. You really got to give aggressive throttle inputs for it to get down to the gear you want it to be in. You can, of course, change gears manually with the paddle shifters, but sometimes you don't always want to do that. So let's do a kick down here. Not too bad. Took a little extra time than some other cars would, but it did a pretty good job there. Plus you have the mild hybrid to fill in the gaps. Okay, so now that we are cruising, let's set our cruise control. Pretty simple, 2 buttons, press on, press set, and that's it. You are cruising, and you can also toggle on your lane keep assist. I thought there was a button to toggle that on. Maybe there's not. I think that might actually be in the vehicle menu. Yes, it is. Okay, let's turn that on too. That's a little bit unfortunate that you have to do multiple clicks. They should just have a button on the steering wheel for that, in my opinion. That would make that a little bit nicer. So you can swipe up on our little adjuster here, and that will move you up 1 mile per hour, or you can press and that'll set you up 5 miles per hour. Since we do have the adaptive on, it's not actually going to do that right now because we're behind a very nice Chevy Silverado. Okay, let's just turn cruise off altogether. Let's turn off our lane keep assist. You can see NVH isn't too bad there either. I mean, that's a pretty rough section of road, and the ride in this thing is really quite nice. They've done a great job with just making this thing floaty, but it's not like a scary floaty. You still feel like you have control over the GLC. I'm just overall very pleased with everything they've done with this new car. There are very few things I would change, and I think I've already communicated all of those to you. Brake pedal feel is all right. Now that I think of it, there's one more thing I don't really like. When I was driving the C-Class earlier this year, that was kind of the biggest thing that bothered me, was just kind of the numb feel from the brake pedal. And it's the same story here in the GLC. I think it may have something to do with the mild hybrid system. You just don't get great brake pedal feel, but you don't really need it. I mean, unless you're doing crazy spirited driving, it still does an okay job around town. And there's nothing really weird with it there. Butter smooth shifts from the 9-speed automatic. You really don't even notice it shifting. Let's put us into sport mode with our dynamic select, and we'll do a bit of spirited driving before we wrap up here, because we got to show you the dynamics here on the GLC, even though this is just the 300. Let's stick it in here. Ah, I lost the gift. It's tipped over. Sport mode holding that gear there for us. And we can take manual control by just selecting a paddle. This will eventually default you out, but if you want to stay in manual mode, you can turn manual shifting on in the infotainment, which is silly, but that's just how you do it. And then it will not change gears for you. Paddles react okay. Don't have any lightning fast reactions like you get with the ZF 8-speed box that you'd have in a BMW X3. But again, that's not what this GLC is about. I also don't mind the way that this 2-liter 4-cylinder sounds. It's a little bit of a buzzier sound than you would get on a BMW, but here, I'll let you listen. Coming up behind a CLS, nice. Mercedes just announced that they're discontinuing that car, so that's kind of sad. We have a little bit of piped-in engine noise there. and I'm going to magically spawn on that side of the road in just a second, so hold on. Ooh, that was a little bit of a rough change there into third. We're going to turn manual shifting off, let this thing kind of just go on its own. All right. And it's quick enough, 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. It gets the job done. I've never been in a situation this week with this car where I think, man, I wish that had more power. It's completely fine. It's a nice Fox body Mustang and a nice Bronco up here. Okay. Let's use our dynamic select, put us back into comfort mode. And I'm a little bit disappointed actually that I wasn't able to shoot this during more of a golden hour setting, because one of the biggest takeaways for me with this car and with any new Mercedes is just how beautiful they make this ambient lighting. And not only that, all the different options that they give you. I mean, there are a ton of different preset colors, and then you can also go to monochrome. There are 64 different combinations you can have. I've been running with ultramarine because it's my favorite, but I mean, every color, every choice you have in here to set is really, really nice. So you can kind of see it. I don't know if you guys can see it right now. It's pretty bright out, but Mercedes is just so far on top when it comes to ambient lighting, and that is a very nice E34. Cool. All right, well, I don't know about very nice, but that was an E34. Okay. Well, we're gonna finish up this drive, and let me know, comment down below if you have any questions here about the GLC. I'll be happy to answer. If you have any specifics about what it was like daily driving this for just about 4 days, so pretty much the whole week I've been driving this car. And it's been just such a nice experience. Just those few little things that I would change. And as far as where it stands in the lineup, it's going to be pretty close to the top for me. I really, really do like the BMW X3, of course, but it would be a tough pick between this and that. The Lexus NX is also a really nice car. The Audi Q5 is a nice car. So, like I said, very competitive segment, and even though there are close competitors, there are certain things about each car that actually differentiate them quite a bit more than you may think. And if you want something that gives you that true, very traditional, luxurious, light, precise feel, the GLC is going to be on top for you, and it's what I would recommend. If you'd rather have something that's a little bit sporty, that you have faster gear changes, a little bit of a smoother powertrain, more reactive transmission, then I would say go for the BMW X3. If you want something that's going to just outlive you, go for the Lexus NX. But nevertheless, I've enjoyed the GLC, and I think you would also. So that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you all for hanging out with me here in the GLC. I'm going to go to a 2-year-old's birthday party now, and hopefully my vintage 1997 Hot Wheels gift bag. I don't know, why did I have a gift bag from before I was born at my house? I have no idea. Anyways, parking brake is down here, right by the driver's left knee, but it's backwards. You push it to put it on, and you pull it to turn it off. So, another weird thing, I guess. Oh, and the Burmester sound system's excellent. I don't know if the TheTopher...
Hey, your phone is still in the car.
I know, thank you so much. Thank you for just being so helpful today, GLC. Appreciate that. I don't know if the TheTopher did a sound system test on this Burmester or not. I hope he did. It's good. It isn't obviously the best thing I've ever heard, but you might as well get it for like the $2,000 that it is. It comes with the surround camera and all the other things that we talked about in the beginning. Like I said, guys, 55 grand, you could have one of these spec'd out just about perfectly. You don't have to spend the 60 that this car is. All right, well, that'll do it for us today. Again, if you have any questions, let me know, but that's the GLC. It's excellent. It's much better than the old one. Thank you guys again for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.